A rich woman suddenly finds herself poor and becomes a sugar baby to a creepy business mogul when he makes strange demands. She wonders if his money is worth her dignity. In the 1990s, when cassette recorders, stamps, chain letters and massive blow-dried hair are still hip and cool, baby Annabelle is born. The two nurses looking after the newborns drink booze and pass the babies around like they're toys. While returning them to their cribs, they accidentally swap some infants. 25 years later, socialite Annabelle von Schluck spends the night partying with her rich friends. She oversleeps and awakens to the sight of her mother's bloody face, startling her. Trixie von Schluck explains it's from her recent vampire facelift. Her daughter worries about her health and reminds her of the botched procedure she experienced with a different doctor. The woman downplays her concern, but Annabelle insists that if ordinary people can be happy with their imperfections, so can she. This upsets her mum, who wonders where inherited her brashness. Meanwhile, an affluent chauffeur loses his patience with a grocery cashier, Carmen shunts after she criticizes his non-vegan items and refuses to sell him shampoo to reduce global waste. Exasperated, he calls the manager, but Aura takes over her mother's shift and apologizes to keep her out of trouble. Ingo is instantly smitten by her beauty, so he withdraws his complaint and introduces himself. When she notices his Porsche key holder, she coyly mentions she's never been inside one because she's just a simple checkout lady, and the man catches onto her flirting. At the von Schluck residence, the wealthy family meets with public relations expert Olivia to discuss charitable causes they can donate to for their summer party. Trixie prefers a fashionable advocacy, but Annabelle thinks it's better if they actually go to the slums to help impoverished people instead of giving their money away. Just then her mother suddenly receives a call, and is shocked by the unexpected news. Carmen also gets one and thinks it's a prank, though she begins taking the caller seriously when they inquire about her daughter's current age. In the meantime, Aura slides out of the porch after making out with Ingo. Rosa wonders if she broke up with the cop because it's the third time she's seen her sister with other men. As she pleads the girl not to tell, her boyfriend Jan shows up and kisses her. Her brother Siddhartha interrupts them and asks her to head home because their mum is panicking. Annabelle is devastated by the news that she may have been switched with someone else at birth. Meanwhile, Carmen tearfully recalls caring for her child and can't believe she isn't her mom. The young ladies take the DNA test and discover they're not their mother's daughters, so Aura moves into the wealthy family's home, which excites Trixie as she resembles her grandmother's portrait. She greets her biological brother Alla, then Annabelle, and implies she's the real von Schluck eyes when the matriarch agrees with her and forgets to celebrate the occasion with her other daughter. The latter feels left out, hurt. The socialite retreats to the bedroom of her father Bolke, who's been in a coma for years. She shares her DNA test results and drinks alone, then lays down beside him wanting to hear her real mom's voice. She calls Carmen without speaking. The woman knows instinctively that it's her daughter and says it's okay if she isn't ready to talk or come home. The Skun's matriarch assures her they'll always be connected and invites her to chant on together. Unfamiliar with the Buddhist prayer, she freaks out and drops the call. Later that day, she walks into her family showing Aura their old photos when they come across a slide with Buko and his daughter. She's dismayed that her mother doesn't recall that moment. That evening, Annabelle tells her best friend Moy that it's as if her kin is relieved she doesn't belong with them, which makes sense since they've always viewed her as a loser. Just then they see a handsome man in the driveway and call his attention. When he approaches, the women get acquainted with Benjamin Schwartz, a renowned business mogul. The magnate ignores Moise and only says goodbye to her friend, hoping to meet her again within moments. Trixie welcomes their guests and announces the cause they're supporting. Olivia panics when she reads last year's script and tries to stop her. When that doesn't work, Annabelle snatches the current draft from the PR specialist so she can hand it over. However, Aura yanks it away and pushes her, causing her to fall to the ground. She then sets her mom aside and passionately reads the script in front of the crowd. Her charming presence impresses everyone at the party, including Trixie, who announces the beautiful and exceptional lady as her long-lost daughter and someone she can't live without. Annabelle is heartbroken to hear her mother introduce Aura as the real Annabelle von von Schlock, so she immediately packs her belongings and drives to the most dangerous part of the city. Shortly after parking her Mercedes, Jan comes up to the woman and asks if she's lost. She reveals she was swapped as a baby and that she's visiting her birth mother Carmen. The cop can't believe Annabelle is the real Laura, so he accompanies her to the Skins home to uncover the truth. There she meets her mom, who greets her with a hug and asks her name. Carmen invites them into their humble abode where her daughter becomes acquainted with her siblings Rosa and Siddhartha and a lodger named Jermot. Jan learns that AA already lives with her rich family and excuses himself. Just then Trixie calls the socialite, demanding she return immediately, but she refuses to go. Annabelle argues she's already home with her real mother, who unlike her doesn't care about money. When the von Schlock matriarch mockingly says she can't survive without their wealth, she rebelliously cuts her credit cards and announces she'll find work to support herself. She spitefully tells Trixie to leave her alone so she can be with her sweet and funny family and ends the call. That evening she asks Carmen who her dad is, but she doesn't know his identity. Restless, the socialite sits in the dark thinking how much her life has changed overnight. Meanwhile Laura jumps around on her luxurious bed, ecstatic that she finally gets to live comfortably. Carmen wakes her daughter the following morning while dressed as a furry animal. This startles Annabelle, who finds out they're holding protests at a fur shop that she and her friends frequent. Initially she refuses to accompany them, but when she sees Jermot wearing a skin-tight suit with human muscles printed on, she decides to drive them to their destination. Unfortunately she discovers her convertible is missing from the parking lot, which leaves her distraught as it was her father's last gift. Annabelle reports the incident to Jan along with her missing Louis Vuitton bags. He asks about the stolen vehicle's plate number, but she has no idea and simply calls it Mr. Norris. Later she excuses herself to look for work and claims to have interviews with big companies. The cop knows she's lying to protect her ego and hints at the recruitment agency next door as his way of helping. That day Annabelle applies for several menial jobs which either offer unpaid internships or reject her despite being overqualified. Eventually she lands her first screening with an employment company where the interviewer offers schnapps to calm her nerves. After taking a shot she answers the woman's questions, mentioning the elite universities she's attended and how Eton kicked her out for accidentally blowing up a village bar. Annabelle admits she's never worked before, and while she's eager to start, the recruiter informs her up front that she failed the assessment at the von Schlock mansion. Laura ignores her boyfriend's calls and texts him that she's lost her voice within moments. Trixie excitedly shows her a magazine cover featuring them as Germany's donation angels, so she invites her to celebrate their success by going shopping. Annabelle receives the call from Jan asking if she knows where her mother went, so she accompanies him to the fur shop where the cops try to stop the ongoing protest. Carmen is stunned when she sees Aura in a fur coat because she was raised to protect animal rights. Meanwhile the socialite disguises herself with a fox mask to spy on them. At the store she hears the shop assistant inquire about her absence. Trixie discloses that Annabelle isn't really her daughter and is relieved that she ran away. Upon hearing this, the woman throws a paintball at Aura's coat and rushes out so she won't get caught. When Jan discovers who the masked perpetrator is, he scolds her for getting involved. Trixie witnesses Annabelle's arrest and realizes her daughter heard her hurtful remarks at the precinct. The cop informs the socialite that the first door is suing her for a negation 220. And unless she pays they'll collect Carmen's wages and possessions. Anxious that she'll drive her family to poverty, Annabelle meets her clique at a bar one night. She shares that she's poor and begs them to give her any job so that she can get back on her feet. Unfortunately Moisey ignores her pleas and MSY mocks her cheap shirt. Desperate she asks Lily for the same favor, but the woman looks away and pretends she isn't there. As she's leaving, Ben approaches her to ask if she's willing to work for him, so she gratefully accepts the offer. However, as she leans in for a hug, the man plants a kiss on her neck. Annabelle is taken aback by his advances and begins to worry about the job he's giving her. The socialite then rides a bus to the von Schlock residence and sneaks into Bolo's room. She painfully recalls the time her father praised her cleverness, believing she could do anything. However, now that she's struggling as an adult, she doubts that it's true and is glad that he isn't. That to see her failures downstairs, Trixie reveals she misses Annabelle and how the recent events have made her sad. Aura is shocked when she gets a surprise visit from Jan, who quickly realizes she was lying about losing her voice. She makes up excuses for avoiding him and tries to reassure him with a hug, but her boyfriend, seeing how she's changed, backs away and tells her to call when she's her usual self again. Just then they hear a noise upstairs, so he climbs up to investigate. The cop sees Annabelle begging him not to disclose her presence, so he announces that it's just an open window. They leave the mansion together and hang out by the gate, where the woman thanks him for not ratting her out. When Jan notices his girlfriend by the balcony, he starts flirting with the socialite and kisses her, and she reciprocates his affection. The couple accidentally trigger the motion-sensing lights, causing Aura to witness their passionate exchange. Annabelle figures that the man is using her to make his lover jealous and slaps him, though she eventually agrees to help him in exchange for a ride home. As she showers the following morning, she frets that she might not get the job with Benjamin. Rosa reminds her not to drink schnapps, and Carmen reassures her that she'll do well, having regained her confidence from her family's pep talk. Annabelle excitedly shows up at the Schwartz Enterprise and gets the job. After introducing herself and agreeing to a meager salary, the woman immediately begins tidying Ben's loft and accidentally comes across items that he uses for intimacy. As she struggles with their sheets, she falls asleep on the bed from exhaustion. The magnate wakes Annabelle to confront her about the forbidden cupboard. He asks if his secret makes her uncomfortable, but she doesn't mind and thinks it's normal to want to enjoy intimacy. Her open-mindedness prompts Benjamin to give her a second chance and requests that she return the next day to clean his windows. Later, the socialite walks home from the bus stop and is annoyed by the repetitive honking of a car. She then looks at the nearby parking lot and realizes Jan has found Mr. Norris. Her jaw drops at the sight of the shirtless cop, unable to hide her attraction towards him. They spend the afternoon driving around, eating drive-through food and taking pictures like a real couple. Just when they're about to kiss on the bridge, Jan suddenly gets a notification of his girlfriend's social media post. Since it shows her location, they decide to drop by and make her jealous. Aura expresses disbelief with her friends when the pair walk into the restaurant and order champagne. After they seemingly share a kiss, she angrily approaches their table. To her dismay, the fake couple act casually. During the confrontation, she tries to mock Annabelle's job hunt and supposed engagement to Jan, but seeing their unbothered, she storms out at the von Schluck residence. Trixie plays Twister with her children in an attempt to bond with them. However, her patience snaps when Albrecht takes an important business call mid-game. She screams at her son and daughter and reminds them that they're supposed to spend time together as a family, but all they do is squander money on their own instead of acknowledging their mother's concerns. Aura argues that she deserves to enjoy herself after living in poverty her whole life, and her brother defends her. That night, Trixie visits the Skins family and offers them cash in exchange for Annabelle, but Carmen tells her she can't buy her daughter. The young woman glares at her with disgust and refuses the offer, saying she has a job and is capable of supporting herself. The socialite heads to work the following day and is hurt when she learns that Jan and Aura are back together. She tries to hide her feelings, but the cop notices her discomfort at Benjamin's home. Annabelle sees rose petals on the floor and follows the trail. She's delighted by the dress and the gift waiting in the bedroom and gushes at the Tiffany ring she slips on in the evening. A chauffeur drives her to a mansion to meet the magnate. There she discovers that his romantic gestures are an invitation to become his professional girlfriend. When she jokes about his unique needs, Ben asks if her rebellious attitude has made her happy so far. Annabelle realizes what he's saying is true and doesn't answer the rhetorical question. The man promises that everything will happen with her consent and that he's willing to take things slow and be patient with her. In exchange, she'll get an apartment in negation 20,000 in monthly allowance and any car she desires. Although Annabelle is tempted to live in luxury once again, she refuses his offer. The Benjamin hopes she'll reconsider and encourages her to think of it as a business deal. Meanwhile, Jan spends time with his girlfriend and her friends at a fusion restaurant. Agitated by her changed behavior since becoming wealthy, he confronts her about it. He wonders if AA will start being a rebel like Annabelle, but the cop comes to the socialite's defense and says she's the only one in their group with a personality when Ingo approaches their table and invites the former cashier to join him for a drink. Jan lets the man take his seat and leaves despite his girlfriend's threats of breaking up with him at the apartment. Ben is disappointed to see Annabelle cuffed to his bed. He explains that since he's always acting strong, he wants the woman to dominate and humiliate him. She complies with his request and pets him like a dog despite her hesitation. Much to her relief, an urgent call interrupts their awkward moment and forces him to leave for a business trip. However, Benjamin forgets to uncuff Annabelle, so she calls Jan to set her free. In the bedroom, the two fight over her choice to become a professional girlfriend and the cops' reunion with Oru, although their lovers' quarrel is cut short by the news of Bolo's deteriorating health. Later at the von Schluck mansion, the socialite remains on the beautiful memories her dad left behind. Within moments of his passing, Ora tearfully apologizes for the way she's been acting, and they all reconcile with a collective embrace. Unable to cope with her father's loss, Annabelle accepts Ben's offer to join him in LA and bids her family goodbye at the airport. Carmen tries to stop her, but she insists it's best for them and hands her a check as she leaves. Jermot discovers that Benjamin paid for her company. Meanwhile, Jan realizes that he loves the socialite and desperately races towards the departing aircraft. Unfortunately, it's already too late. Wait for the law enforcer and he fails to stop them. When Annabelle sees the cop chasing after their plane, it finally dawns on her that she can't be bought, so the woman cancels her agreement with the business mogul and demands that they land as soon as they arrive at the airport. She steals